Alright guys, so this video you'll only have to endure me for about 20 minutes, but here I'm using Nomad on the iPad. Previously, I was actually not having the best experience with this application, but now I've actually given it a bit more time and just really reviewed every facet of the UI and just poured over it more and give it more attention. And I think now, a look, I was never going to try to tell you that Nomad was the king. I was just saying Nomad was promising. Now, this program, definitely very promising. Alright, Nomad is a work of art. That's the only way to describe it. Um, I'm going to have to import some alphas in order to create like a damn standard and have like a damn standard H-polish workflow, but I really see it happening in this program. So that excites me. So I spent a lot of time trying to create like a just a hard damn standard to just start cutting cut lines in this, and the lines were just fuzzy the whole time. It really never pleased me. Whenever it comes to the iPad, I still don't really pay a lot of attention to like things like, you know, memory limits or RAM or anything like that. I'm just kind of using the device, but I see that there might be something happening here. There might be something actually happening here where you're able to use the device, work fairly high poly, and just get in there and really start just banging this thing with the brushes. You might be wondering, hey, why are you doing all this sculpting on the iPad instead of using it in Blender? And I'll do some videos showing in Blender how I use Blender sculpting. And Blender sculpting I handle a lot differently. Like, I mean, obviously, Blender is probably the most superior because you have the modifiers and you have like the ability to drop out of sculpt mode into edit mode and into object mode, where you can do so much in object mode, right? And, you know, as I got acquainted with this application, I was just very pleased with what I was experiencing. Like, I started to really get like ZBrush vibes. Now, I must preface this by saying that, you know, after Substance Painter got bought by Adobe, I became really weird about programs that are not Blender. So, you know, everyone's always like, yo, you should use this program. You should use this program. You should use this program. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, sometimes you can use a program and you can just taste it. You can just taste it. This program's going to get bought. And so if you get in there and you start loving it, like, they're just lost. And, you know, over time, it took a long time for me to feel that Marmoset wasn't going to get bought out. But, you know, I actually have a deep affection for Marmoset now. I mean, I don't texture in it yet, but I still plan on getting around to it. I mean, it's such a weird idea to think of, right? Texturing a Marmoset, but I do love Marmoset. But, you know, whenever it comes to sculpting, you know, because ZBrush got taken, I'm really precious about sculpting now because, you know, we don't have anything anymore. I mean, we do. We just have to pay monthly, and you know that's fine. But Nomad, I feel, will be there for the long haul. You know, if they got bought out tomorrow, I would be very surprised. But I've been watching them for a long time, and I really feel like they got a good chance of just being in there for the long haul. Like, as an application, like I've seen them reach across to Android. They have an Android version that's very good. Like, I've seen them working towards a PC version, which, you know, I think having a version that's on tablet but also on PC that's kind of cross-connected and has like an interconnectivity is like the holy grail, right? Because, you know, you might be wondering, like, dude, why are you even working on an iPad? Why are you not working on a Wacom? And I'm like, dude, when I pull out the Wacom, I gotta push my keyboard out the way. I gotta pull over the Wacom. Like, the cable in the back of these Wacoms is like built so bad that just positioning the Wacom jiggles the cable and exposes like a design flaw that basically makes it like not good. So here I'm beating it with Flatten, and Flatten just does the job. Like, I mean, look, I'm not a master at this at all. I'm just a guy playing with dynamic topology. If I got dynamic topology, I'm happy. Like, I got a way to work. And, you know, as I'm using this, I'm like, yo, why am I even messing with any other sculpt program? Like, I was going to show Forger, but Forger's actually owned by Maxon, and Maxon's like those guys, right? So I apologize for going for such a contemporary form. I was kind of thinking of Alien though when I was doing it, but I always kind of have these like kind of test shapes. I always do whenever I'm kind of messing with sculpting. I'm just like watching TV, and really during this, I was watching a really long interview between Shannon Shea and one of the Wayans brothers, and it was really interesting just hearing him talk about his experience in Hollywood. But that's on some black people stuff. So back to the sculpting though. So you see that every stroke that I'm doing is like aliased and shaggy, and I really hate that. Like I know I could like up the resolution, and looking at the memory in the upper left corner, I see that I probably should. Like I should probably just try to just work higher poly and decimate more, and see how heavy poly I can work while being able to decimate. But I feel like flatten, if you press it too hard, it just literally starts collapsing the mesh. So it's just real weird to mess around with it. But the footage for this was actually like a 7 gigabyte video, which I was able to transfer over to a pen drive with the iPad having only 3% battery. My iPad is terrible. Like I said, I'm currently in my cracked era, which means that I cracked my watch, I cracked my phone, and I cracked my iPad. I literally accidentally tripped and dropped my iPad, and I didn't know that I broke it. Like I picked it up one day and I was like, "Oh my god, this thing's cracked!" I like freaked out, but I still love it now. I still love it even though it's cracked. And the watch that I'm wearing, like I cracked the screen protector, and on my phone, I cracked its screen protector. So the phone screen isn't cracked. I mean that's grody, but the screen protector is cracked. So everything's just cracked right now. It feels good. Like I just look at everything and I just write fan fiction about a king watching a multiverse cracking while he looks for a hero to protect him across the universe. So not an allegory for me or anything, just me just being weird and trying to make fiction. All right, so back to this thing. So we're just working on shape and form and just playing around. I'm just always goofing off, and I love the idea of messing with bus. However, my next sculpts, I plan to just take them all the way further. I mean, I should be solving these things all the way, like going in and retopo them, which was something I was experimenting with in uniform, and it was actually working out pretty cool. So you see how I'm able to draw a mask, take a gizmo, transpose it, and get intimate with this, just like I would with ZBrush. Like to draw a mask and tap blur is just precious. I mean, to a sculpting, like what I'm thinking as I'm using this is, to be honest, hey, don't quote me on this, but this is kind of faster than Blender a little bit. Like, I might have to reapproach how we approach sculpting in Blender in our presentation to the user, because I'm able to get in here and just quickly say, hey, voxelize, decimate, voxelize, decimate, decimate, voxelize, and that's a really nice workflow compared to yeah. Blender is such a interesting application. Like even though I have a pretty firm grasp on it, at least when it comes to getting in and getting things done, um, there's still so many things I don't understand. And when it comes to new users, like anytime someone's like, "Yo, I'm picking up Blender," I'm like, "Well, picking up Blender is one thing. It's easy to install. Let me know when you've built a gingerbread man." So when you built a gingerbread man, then we can talk. That means you've pressed E a couple of times, and you have something to talk about. Otherwise, we're just going to talk about the day when you get in there and actually start messing with Blender. And the more I tell you about Blender, the more you're not going to want to mess with Blender. So we really can't be talking about Blender. It's not even being pretentious or pompous or anything. It's really just, I care about your adventure, and I don't want to taint it by saying, "Hey man, Control R." Man, it gets nuts the 1 millionth time, dude. It's like winning the publisher's clearinghouse sweepstakes, except your hand's ringing out. But seeing that dynamic topology instantly has this slider that you pull, and then you see like a checkerboard effect. Like I'm noticing this across all the sculpting apps. Like this is a damn good idea. Like as I'm using these iPad apps, I'm noticing a lot of very, very good ideas. Like I mean, just know, guys, I'm about to come back from the desert with a bunch of very crazy ideas, man. Like, my dream is to modernize and make Blender feel more and more like the world around us. So that way it's just more organic to work in. Like, I see that for Blender. Of course, Blender needs to technically become the best and technically be great. And, I admire that. But I also, see a simplicity and a sexiness able to be had with it. And the more that I use these apps, the more that I see, like, hey, this works, this doesn't work, this works, this doesn't work. You know, like I go out here and I'm calling other people crazy, and I'm like probably the craziest person ever. So, you know, hopefully this dialogue is actually going through. I'm so nervous because every time I do a post video narration, the audio just doesn't go through. So we're just having fun playing around in Nomad. I had to change the UI a bit to put my brushes on the other side of the screen and to put the UI on the other side of the screen because I'm left-handed. So my hand's accidentally pressing these damn brushes all the time. But here I went ahead and jumped into turntable mode. Having a turntable mode is a damn good idea, to jump in a turntable mode, to be able to step away, take a break, to go do something because your spouse is asking you for it, right? Because she's like, hey, come in the kitchen, it's happy hour. And it's like, okay, I'm back from happy hour, it's time to get back to work. Like, I was going to end the video here, but instead I want to ruin this sculpt. Like, I'm always thinking like, man, I'm such a cliche, always thinking of the same shapes. Like, I'm even now, like, you know, I should have showed like the earlier stuff I was doing where I was drawing death bunnies and doing like death bunny masks, but you know, that's for a future time. For now, we're just going to be doing cliche aliens. Like, I was just looking at aliens, you know. To be honest, I was actually watching a really old Vitali video earlier about aliens, and so that's why aliens are kind of on my brain today. So, you know, if you must know where these shapes be coming from, it's because I'll be rewatching some of the oldest tutorials ever by Legend. So, you know, even though the iPad's dying, it's like, yo, I don't care. You're not my computer. You're an iPad. I don't care if you die. If he dies, he dies, you know, is the case here. So I'm just having fun, you know, now that the brush is actually being cool, it's going to be great. Like, I'm probably going to have to model some alphas in Blender and then export them as black and white and then use them on Nomad, right? Put them back on a pen drive and copy them over, you know, nice little workflow. Just a way of me to just get this to behave like I need it to, because I could see this, like, yo, if I could sit on the couch and watch a TV show, right, and make, look, I was meaning to tap on that and say no. Look, I don't know what you do at Six Flags, but I don't think it has Wi-Fi, and I don't think their hot dogs are worth it. Like, maybe the hot dogs are really good. I'm gonna ask them, but you know, we're just looking at the sculpt, we're just admiring what we got going on here, and then I look at the back, and I'm like, I'm just gonna leave the back blank. That's why I suck, guys. Like, I tell you guys I'm a hack and I suck. It's because I don't even detail things right. Like, I don't do enough multi-level design. Like, I see it as I look at it, I'm like, I'm kind of a singular level designer, and I need to like think on like a multi-plane like type of thing, like multi-dimensional. Like, I gotta really work on these things, right? Like, I probably do need to go on a trip to South America and take some ayahuasca and go wild in the woods, but I just joke, of course. We're just blathering while we're looking at this sculpt, right? Because I'm already thinking, yo, when this iPad gets enough of a charge, I'm gonna go back in at it again. Like, I might watch another very long Shannon Sharp interview. No, I'm not. I'm joking. I'm not gonna watch another Shannon Sharp interview. You know, if I may say, my woman literally hit me with a Blender-ism earlier. Like, I was like I was sculpting a bunny in uniform, right? And I showed her, and she said I was going for that big buck bunny. I was like, what? You know, because I gave him fat cheeks, right? Like, I gave my bunny fat cheeks, but he was eating a human skull. But I had his cheeks fat, like he had chunks of skull in his mouth, you're right? And she said I was going for that big buck bunny. How dare you say big buck bunny to me? You know, this woman, hey, she's fine in my book. You know, when she hits you with, you know what, little do I know that she's probably asking AI for Blender terms to hit me with. She's like, hey, you want to make some ambient occlusion later? It's like, what? But no, look at me talking about Blender while I'm in a Nomad tutorial. That's why I have Blender problems. So I'm always thinking about how to have tentacles stick out of these things, like to indicate that they're aliens. Like, I'm always thinking about them being aliens, like, it goes back to me and my fiction endeavors where I'm thinking about how if aliens came to Earth, what if they could only talk to humans by sending us to the next life, right? Like, what if they could only communicate with us by killing us? Or they could only communicate with us by taking over our bodies or by violating us in a terrible way? Like, that would be like the worst way for an alien to come. Be like, listen, alien, please never talk to me or through me ever again. You sent me to the next life. You killed me dang near just to say hello. Please don't talk through me anymore. Like, what if aliens have to use humans as megaphones and every sentence costs a human their life? So they have to have like a 400 people to talk through just to have a simple discussion saying that they're not going to go to war with us. I don't know. These are things I think about all the time. But, so I'm even hearing my song in the background talk about a tentacled monster coming from space. Okay, so I'm going to put tentacle in a hat. And then what I'm going to do is start drawing these ideas out of the hat, so I'm not a repeated hack. All right, and that's what I was doing with writing, and I see that I probably need to start doing that with art, where I just need to start putting all my ideas in a hat, and we just start pulling these ideas out of a hat, because I was doing it because that was what TV shows were doing, or at least that's what I thought they were doing. Turns out they were using freaking AI. AI is easy. So look at this. Symmetry in this program is easy. It's just easy. Like, I was looking at this, and then I legit was thinking, holy crap, this is a good idea. A user was telling me, he's like, hey, mirror could be easier. And I was like, look, someone else is like, hey, I might come through. I might be around. No, I'm playing. I'll be around. I'll probably just be sculpting on the couch. Legit. So I gave him a mustache here. Like, I see that now, so I'm going to have to rethink this idea. So, yeah, you could totally make fun of me and say that I sucked here. But I see that there's a workflow to be had here in Nomad. And I don't know, maybe someday I'll go through Uniform, then through Nomad, then through Forger, then through Cozy Blanket, and I'll be able to model, UV, and texture bake and export and send it all directly over to Substance Painter or Marmoset or something. I don't know. We're just having fun here, just blathering about what could possibly be. But the battery's just getting lower and lower, and the iPad is so nice. They're not saying things like, hey, I'm about to shut down. Look, I'm not an Apple fanboy. Before I was in love with them when they first did this iteration of the iPad, when they first turned it into a black slate, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. But now that I've experienced the Vision Pro, and that they have eyeball DRM, and that they have all this crazy stuff going on with YouTube and their ad block battles, it's really just changed the way that I feel about tech. But that's a whole nother talk for a different day. Sorry to get into that in the middle of a Nomad tutorial, but we're just talking about sculpting here. So I'm really at the end of this video. I thank you all for watching. I apologize for sucking at the end, but I'm just trying to get back into the groove of just sculpting and having fun, and that's all we're doing here. So with that, I'll end this video, and I'll see you guys next time.